What's going on, Exile? Welcome to my low-life Occulist that's built around the Vaal Blade Vortex skill. It's the beefiest character I made this league, so I guess it makes sense that it's also the most expensive. As you can see in the video, I completely steamroll the Shaper, just like I do with its guardians, like they're nothing. For the most part, I don't even bother with the Vaal skill before they're dead, and I had even forgot to get the last Ascendancy points at this point. It's one of the easiest leveling characters I've had, and I got to level 90 in well under 20 hours. With the high chaos resistance and on-kill explosions, it's also a great choice for going deep in the delves and killing the delve bosses. With all flasks and buffs up, the Shaper DPS in Path of Building reads close to 4 million, and that's not including the Vaal skill, so the build definitely got some damage in it. But anyway, let's have a look at all of the items that are used for this character. The unique items that I use for this build is first of all the Chevron's Wrappings body armor, and I use this to make sure that chaos damage doesn't bypass my energy shield and I can take advantage of the low life boost without risking anything. Secondly, I use 2 void battery wands that gives me extra power charges as well as a ton of extra spell damage for every power charge. Then I use a Presence of Chayula amulet, which turns 20% of my maximum life into energy shield, as well as making me immune to stuns and adding on 60% chaos resistance. Lastly, I use a Mark of the Shaper ring for the extra damage and energy shield, but just make sure your other ring is an Elder ring to take full advantage of its benefits. For rares, these are stats that you're looking for. Basically, you want as much energy shield as possible on all of your items, while also getting enough resistances to max you out. You also have to get some extra dexterity and strength on some of the items to fully maximize the build. The rare ring you use needs to be an Elder ring, and you also want to make sure this ring curses enemies with Warlord's Mark on hit. For the belt, I personally went for a crystal belt for the extra energy shield, but if you'd rather use a Stygian Wise belt, then definitely do so. For Flasks, I went for a crit flask with immune to bleeding, and a Serious Promise, a Sin's Rebirth, a movement speed flask with immune to freeze, and a mana flask with immune to curses. But really the mana flask is not exactly needed, so I would actually go for something like a Rumi's Concoction instead. In my main gem setup I use Vaal Blade Vortex, and with that I have power charge on crit, concentrated effect, hypothermia, priest critical damage, and control destruction. If you want, you can switch out concentrated effect for increased AoE while mapping. Then in my helm I use Hatred, Assassin's Mark with Blasphemy, and Enlighten. My gloves I use Discipline, Clarity, Enlighten, and then I have Blood Magic. In my boots I have Wither, and with that I have Spell Totem, faster casting, and increased duration. And as a movement setup I use Flame Dash, and with that I have faster casting and Arcane Surge level 7. And in my other weapon I have Frost Bomb, less duration, and then Summon Flame Golem. For skills, these are the progressions that I went with. I switched from life to energy shield just before hitting level 70, so that's why the 73 shows me grabbing the energy shield skills already then. I picked up Pain Attunement for the extra spell damage when on low life, and then I also grabbed the +1 to maximum power charges for the extra damage that they give me. Then I grabbed most of the accessible energy nodes, as well as plenty of crit and damage modifiers. For Ascendancy I first went for Profane Bloom and Malediction to make sure cursed enemies have a chance to explode on death, and also so that I can apply an additional curse on all enemies. Then I grabbed Forbidden Power, which gives me an extra power charge, some more AoE and spell damage, but most of all gives me power charges whenever I spend 200 mana, which is basically all the time with this build. And then lastly I picked up Void Beacon for more damage, but you could grab Wicked Ward instead if you prefer more energy shield. For Pantheon I went for Soul of Lunaris as Major Guard for physical damage reduction as well as some increased movement speed. You also get a chance to avoid projectiles and to dodge attacks and spells. For Minor Guard I went for Soul of Gruthkul for even more physical damage reduction, as well as whenever an enemy hit me they get reduced attack speed. For Bandits either help Alira or kill them all. For leveling, I almost always recommend using a tabula rasa if possible, and this build is no exception. I leveled with magma orbs from level 1 and used that till around level 30, and that's when I switched over to Blade Vortex just as I picked up the skill duration nodes on the tree. But if you prefer continue leveling with magma orb for longer, then just go ahead and do so. With Blade Vortex I combine damage gems and controlled destruction, and I also picked up elemental equilibrium on the tree and used that until around level 50. Once I hit level 50 I removed elemental equilibrium, got the crit nodes, and started using power charge on crit as well. Other uniques I use while leveling include 2 Lifesprig wands, the Nocturnal Caress gloves, the Wanderlust boots, and a Mark of Submission ring, and then I placed a Warlord's Mark skill gem in that ring. The main positive of the build is basically that you can do everything in the game. It's good for bosses and delve, and pretty good for mapping as well. It's a really fun build to play, and the chaos explosions look awesome. Negatives of the build include issues with reflect, and no leech maps can be quite annoying. It's also quite expensive, which can be made even more expensive if you want to invest in a Watcher's Eye with the right clarity and hatred modifiers on it. All in all, a super fun build to play, and if you can afford it, I'd definitely give it a try. So thanks for watching Exile, and hopefully I'll see you in that next video.